The German Democratic Republic, also known as East Germany, a country that sat for 40 years on the front line against capitalism, rebuilt brick by brick from the destruction of war. This was a country that provided guaranteed full employment to its citizens, free universal health care, free university tuition, subsidized public transportation, subsidized meals, state-funded childcare, generous maternity leave policies, and rents that were no more than 5% of the average income. It was also a state known for its repression of political dissidents, who it viewed as internal threats against the socialist system. A country so close to the borders of global conflict that its own capital city was partially under what it considered to be a hostile capitalist military occupation. Of course, I'm referring to the division of East and West Berlin, the infamous Berlin Wall, or as it was called in the East, the anti-fascist protection rampart. In 1989, the wall was opened and would be mostly removed in the coming months. And in less than a year, the German Democratic Republic was annexed into a newly unified Germany, ceasing to exist. But what if I told you, despite all odds, that East Berlin still exists?
Staaten und ihren Grenzern.
Okay, maybe not like that, of course. You are watching authentic tourism advertisement footage right now from the GDR, and it's easy to think, it's too late. We missed it. We'll never get to see what East Berlin was like. Well, I say drop those excuses because I'm about to show you that East Berlin does in fact still exist. At least what's left of it. And in many ways, the construction and development of East Berlin has contributed to Berlin as a unified city today. In fact, there's so much of East Berlin still around, I won't be able to fit it all in this. Go ahead and leave a comment for what we missed. Los geht's!
Demokratischen Republik Erich Honecker ist heute.
Before me stands the Ernst Thälmann Monument, one of the last great socialist monuments in Berlin. Unveiled in 1986 in the German Democratic Republic, it was a tribute to one of Germany's greatest anti-fascist and communist leaders, Ernst Thälmann. Thälmann led the Communist Party of Germany in the 1920s and early 1930s, fighting for the working class against capitalism and the rising Nazi threat. A victim of the Holocaust, Thälmann paid the ultimate price for his activism. In 1933, he was arrested by Hitler's regime, held for 11 years in prison before being murdered in the Buchenwald concentration camp in 1944. The GDR honored him as a hero of the proletariat, and this monument, cast in bronze, stands as a testament to that struggle. Today, this monument still stands, perhaps a reminder that the fight against fascism and capitalism is far from over.
You can kill the revolutionary, but you can't kill the revolution.
That's exactly right. Here it is. Here it is. Our first mural. Our first socialist mural right here. Now look at it. How beautiful is it? The working class. Purely demonstrated right across the top. I think you even see maybe Karl Marx there in the background. And the working class pointing to the future. Well, this is the start of Karl Marx Alley. Probably my favorite part in East Berlin because there's so many different great sites along the way. We're gonna grab some scooters and let's get on down the road. But here on Karl Marx Alley, a lot of people don't know this was actually once called Stalin Alley, Stalin's Alley. And of course, after the Khrushchev reforms in the Soviet Union, the whole Warsaw Pact kind of just got rid of everything Stalin related through de-Stalinization. But over here, look at this. Just kind of overgrown and kind of hidden away off the beaten path. Look at it, his name's kind of been just marked off. You see the little bits of screws, everything, but he's still up there. Our good man Karl Marx, a good comrade Karl Marx here. Equipped with central heating, bathrooms, lifts, trash chutes, intercom systems. The buildings and the houses in Karl Marx Alley were particularly modern for the time. Over 5,000 housing units were built from the rubble of East Berlin in the first phase of construction alone. People would have kitchens for the first time after the devastation of war. I'm going to show you a hidden gem. Most people are cycling right past this, but they don't understand what this is. This is a plaque and a memorial to the first president of the East German Socialist Democratic Republic. Wilhelm Pieck, erster Präsident der DDR, opened the House of Children, the 18th of October in 1954. And this is the monument attesting to that grand opening of what was called the House of Children. And this is the next one over here. Check this out. The House of the Teachers. Haus der Lehrerinnen. You've got science, math, the workers' class, a scientist teaching a worker there on a bench. Look at this. Education was so important in the socialist German Democratic Republic. It's no surprise that there's an important socialist mural here to commemorate that. You've got the scientist up there holding the beaker. You've got the workman with the blueprints. You've got a space shooting off into the cosmos with the power of socialism. And of course, you may know that the first German in space went to space under the Soviet space program, and he was a cosmonaut for the German Democratic Republic. Right across the road, we've got something else over here. Let's go check it out. A cosmonaut there, maybe remembering the first German in space. And along with him, there's a man and a woman, perhaps, reflecting on the Marxist feminist tradition of gender equality. So let's keep going down Karl Marx Alley. Let's go. How do you like that scooter?
Like,
Yeah, I know.
fun.
Hot rod.
Yeah, no.
Low skates. Now, what if you wanted to watch a movie in East Berlin? Well, you probably came here. Kino International. Right here would have been so many films from the Soviet Union, maybe dubbed into German, but also from the East German cinema and all sorts of, maybe from Czechoslovakia, the Polish People's Republic. You would have come right here to watch your movies. Today, it seems like that this is under renovation works, and so I'm not able to go inside, really. But I've got good news for you, because I was here, actually, before I started fully vlogging, and I got a good bit of footage inside this cinema, and the original state of it. I'll just maybe come up here in the glass and see, what do we see? We can't go into the cinema, but right across the road is something just as cool and very much historical we're going to talk about, keeping with the international theme. Let's get across the street and I'll tell you more about it. There's a lot of typical East German architecture over here, but what we're really interested in is right up here, the top. This is a model of Sputnik, the first satellite ever in space. The Soviet Union sent Sputnik up into orbit and terrified the capitalist West. And why is that? It's right here up at the top, Cafe Moscow. You can even see it in Cyrillic over here, Moskva, restaurant. And tells you exactly what the purpose of this was. This was the Cafe Moscow restaurant. And above here, we see this beautiful socialist mosaic here. Look at it. Look at the state of this beautiful piece of artwork here. You have all the different nationalities. And this would have been representing, most likely, the different nationalities of the Soviet Union. And why is that? Because this restaurant was designed to showcase the Soviet Union to the people of East Berlin. You could have come in here into Cafe Moscow and experienced Russian cuisine, maybe Russian cultural events. There was a lot of different historical events that happened right here in Cafe Moscow. And because we're in East Berlin, no doubt there would have been a lot of the big wigs from the SED, Socialist Party that ran the place here, would have been coming in here, dining and entertaining guests. If you were here in East German times, no doubt you would have loved to have come and eaten here at this restaurant. Today, though, it's not a restaurant anymore. Right across from the old Czechoslovakian Motokov offices, Cafe Moscow was designated a historical building in 1989. And today, it has been restored back to its 1960s glory. Karl Marx Buchhandlung. There you go. It's like a Karl Marx bookshop right next to the old Karl Marx bookstore. If you look up, this is where we get some cool, interesting stuff here. See on the reliefs here on these buildings, maybe you can see them. They're images of the workers. And these images here were designed to show the proletarian working class images of themselves as they came and went from work, from their houses here on Karl Marx Alley. Blumen, German for flowers. This is clearly a flower shop. It's very old sign here on Karl Marx Alley, though. Got all the flowers and plants and everything out. But right across from the Blumen shop, right over here, we see another remnant. We see another remnant of GDR. This is to celebrate the first 5-year plan of the German Democratic Republic. Marxist-Leninist countries operate their planned economies typically according to a 5-year plan. And this was the first 5-year plan, 1951 and 1955 in East Germany. Still standing strong right here on the gates, possibly forgotten for the most part by the local residents. Here we are outside of Café Sibylle. It's still in business. Which why we're here in Café Sibylle is because this is one of the only, if not the only, business on Karl Marx Alley that existed during the time of the GDR. In fact, this cafe here has been open since 1960, right here on Karl Marx Alley. And here in the shop windows, check this out. You've got a Simpson moped. That's an East German originally manufactured moped there. Simpson mopeds and motorcycles are still beloved all throughout East Germany, and you can still see them on the road today. But also look, you got the East German typewriters. You've got 1st of May, 1st of May. That is the International Workers' Day around the world. And no doubt that flag there would be from the East German times. The first thing that really struck me walking into Café Sibylle is how vintage and historic the entire place felt. In a way, I really felt like I was walking back in time to East Berlin. Here we are inside. Look at the stage. Imagine all the different performances that no doubt went inside here, probably on that stage. Look at the old paintings on the wall. Definitely original. But look what we've got here now. Iced coffee. Iced coffee. That looks delicious. But I've got a Radeberger Pilsner. This beer here was, of course, an original beer on the outskirts of Dresden in Saxony. And after socialist times, it was converted into a socially owned enterprise. We got a nice East German Saxon beer. This looks delicious already. Prost. Wow. Good, sour, bitter, crisp, refreshing. I'm going to give that 8.5 out of 10. What did you order?
Kleines Frühstück.
The breakfast here was a classical German breakfast, but delicious. Get the German Democratic Republic flag right on the front. And look at this. Wir lieben unsere Republik. Vati und Mutti wählen die Kandidaten der Nationalen Front. East German Communist comic books right here. Aztec magazine. Wow. Imagine you're just looking through the pages, You're a young boy, young girl. And in your head, you're looking to the future. The first German has gone into space as a cosmonaut via the Soviet space program. And you're sitting here in your bed, and you're looking, and you're reading through the comic books, looking to a bright socialist future. And we've got a songbook here. Look at this. Jeden Morgen freue ich mich auf den Kindergarten, wo Wladimir, Tanja, Klim auch schön auf mich warten. Right here, we've got the real gem here, a real newspaper here from the East Germany, right? The Socialist Unity Party of Germany. This is the SED. This is the ruling party of East Germany here, and we've got a real genuine newspaper here, preserved in plastic. But look at the kind of music that people were listening right to. Look at this. It says, "Für antiimperialistische Solidarität, Frieden und Freundschaft." VEB Orange has so many original items from the socialist period that it's basically a free museum. If you're interested in this history, I would say this is a must-stop, and you'll probably find something really cool from the old German Democratic Republic to take home with you. The cookware, the plates, signs, awards, books, and uniforms, there's something here for everyone. So here we are, Alexanderplatz Station. And so where we are right now would have been a central location in East Berlin. And it was right here in the U-Bahn. So if you're not familiar with German, U-Bahn is essentially the underground train, of course, like a subway, metro, underground, whatever you want to call it. This was a critical station here for East Berlin. This was a hub, a transport system there for the East Berliners at that time, and you can kind of even tell, you can kind of see a little bit of the GDR aura, the German Democratic Republic, East German aura, kind of coming off these tiles. Just imagine though, just as busy as it is today, it would have been certainly just as busy back then. Speaking of Alexanderplatz, of course, there's also an S-Bahn station, which made this a very central hub for commuters, and even to this day, that still serves a purpose. If you've been to Berlin, you probably recognize exactly where I am. Look at this. This is built by the Socialist Party in Germany, the Communist Party. And this is socialist architecture. Of course, this is designed to symbol the solar system, and you've got all the different towns and cities on here. Like up there, Havana, Moscow up at the top, St. Petersburg, Murmansk, all hero cities that would have been in the Soviet Union at that time. This reminds me of a clock very similar in Kaliningrad, Russia, that was built by the Soviet Union. But people, like, this is a major tourist attraction. Look at this. Today it's so popular. Everyone wants to be in East Berlin. Everyone wants to be right here in East Berlin. But at that time, Radio Free Europe and the anti-communist propaganda that existed at that time would have stigmatized this exact same location as a horrific nightmare. I mean, up here we've got cities like Pyongyang, right there, North Korea, Pyongyang, you know, Democratic People's Republic. Hanoi, that would have at that time been in Vietnam or perhaps North Vietnam. This is a piece of communist art right here that is appreciated by all of these tourists. All of these tourists right here. And of course, you've got the distinctive tower that Berlin is known for. This is the Berlin TV Tower, a Fernsehturm. And when it was built in the 1960s, it was built as both a functioning TV tower to transmit television signals, but also as a very, very, very important testament to the power and strength of Marxism, Leninism, socialism, and the triumph of the working class. Situated right next to Berlin's oldest cathedral, that was also rebuilt after the war by the East German government in 1957. This was an iconic symbol that could be seen across into the capitalist West Berlin, but also was seen as a symbol across the world because at the time it was one of the tallest structures in the world. Vita Cola. That's right. Vita Cola. What is Vita Cola? Vita Cola is essentially communist East Germany's answer to Coca-Cola. With a recipe that's still kept secret to this day, this brand here has been produced in East Germany since back to the 1950s. It's a very unique recipe. It doesn't taste just like Coca-Cola. This isn't just some sort of Coca-Cola off-brand. The first thing that you're going to notice on the symbol is the mit Zitrusgeschmack, which means a citrusy snack. See that little lemon slice? That hints to the flavor. This is going to be a mix, kind of your cola flavor, but also with a hint of citrus as well. It's very distinct. And you can also see here, it says mit vitamin C. Let's give it a whirl. Oh man, that's really, 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 really good. Wow. I can see why this is still around. Just right across from the TV tower, we're right here. Marx and Engels Forum. For the two famous Germans who developed the theory of dialectical materialism, the basis from which Marxism, as we know it today, is founded upon. Of course, Marx would later be exiled from Germany himself and would go on to live in France and then later England, where he would die. Engels himself would spend time living in Manchester, in England.
Zuschauer, ich möchte Sie nun einladen zu dem finnischen Fernsehfilm.
The red flag is flying high, and the German Democratic Republic is flying right below. Here we are. We're in the German Democratic Republic today, and we are eating. We're here at Volkskammer, named after the East German Parliament building that unfortunately no longer stands, but this was the Volkskammer. This was where all the laws and everything else were made in East Germany through the democratic centralist process. Unfortunately, this beautiful building would be demolished as at the end of the GDR, it was found to be an asbestos risk. Prost! Starting out with the most popular beer in East Germany, Berliner Pilsner was the #1 beer in East Germany. And today it's served still all over Berlin. We've seen it everywhere. Nice ice cold, delicious, crisp, clean. But this old Stein though, 40 years of the DDR.
Solyanka, one of my favorite soups. It is of Russian origin, and it's various meats and spices, and maybe like a tomato base. Like, it's very, very good. Looks like onions, peppers, and stuff.
Yep.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Yeah.
10 out of 10.
Very
Oh,
flavorful.
wow. That is great.
Very flavorful.
This is the Herzkäse here. It's very interesting texture. I love cheese, and that cheese is like very unique. It's not like the cheese that you know you normally used to eating. It has a very kind of like gelatinous texture to it, but it's good. It actually is really, really good.
This is Jägerschnitzel, but it is GDR style because they didn't have like access to certain types of cuts of meat and pork and stuff, so they had to improvise.
That's right. Because if you go into other parts of Germany, Jägerschnitzel is a very distinctive, usually thin cut of venison or thin pork chop, and decked out in mushroom sauce, usually with Jäger sauce and stuff like that. But this is pasta. I don't know if you can see, this is regular pasta.
Yep.
That would have been very, very, very commonplace in East German kitchens. And this is not actually a pork chop. This is a bunch of like, I think it's like basically a bunch of thin pieces of ham, kind of all layered together and then wrapped up and fried together. I could be wrong.
It would be similar to Spam, but probably better quality than Spam if anyone's familiar with that.
Or yeah, it kind of looks like Spam.
But it tastes better than
Yeah,
Spam.
it kind of looks like Spam, honestly, like wrapped up in breading and fried.
Yeah.
And you can see that there. That is an authentic East German schnitzel, Jägerschnitzel.
Look at that crust.
You can hear that crust. You can hear it.
Kind of like a nice little spice to it, like salami.
Yeah.
Wait. And the tomato sauce isn't just pure tomato sauce. I think it might have like paprika or something in it, but it's really, really good.
Yep.
And the noodles are really good with it too. It has like a nice little, you want a nice little starch, you know.
Yeah. If you think about it, these are all cheap ingredients. These are things that East Germans had that they made the most of things, even when there were shortages on certain items. Because of course there was a lot of economic pressure on East Germany at that time. Man, check this out. Erich Honecker, the leader of East Germany. Look at these steins up there. Wow. Look at this family portrait drawn by, I'm sure, a child there in the East German school. And there he is, the first German in space. Incredible. Look at this. World Championship 1986 Mexico for the DDR. Actually, right there. Look at this. Soviet-German friendship. And this was the youth program there for East Germany as well. We had a great dinner here. We had a great meal. We're ending our tour here of the German Democratic Republic in East Berlin. But there's more to East Germany. There's so many other towns and cities. We've been to them in the past. There's many we haven't been to. There's so much to explore. But this was just a little taste in East Berlin. And we haven't even covered the exhaustive things. But if you're interested in this kind of thing, let me know in the comments. And we'll schedule our next trip out here. Because we certainly love the German Democratic Republic. We're ready to put our helmet back on. And for us, we'll remember meine Heimat, DDR.